Hey everybody, welcome to Movieverse. My name is Brian, and today Greg is joining me. We are back after a semi-long hiatus of these movie news shows. I've been doing some trailer reactions and stuff like that, but school is a very busy time for me.
How dare you have school?
Yeah, how dare I have three projects?
How dare you try to improve your life?
You know what, professors? Stop giving me projects. No.
Stay in school, kids.
Anyways, before we get started on the topics today, guys, I just want to remind everybody that you can follow us on all of our social medias, facebook.com/MovieverseOnline. Follow us on Instagram at MovieverseOnline and on Twitter at Movieverse2. And actually, I have some stuff coming in the woodwork for us as well. We're going to have a writer on our team, and we're starting up a makeshift website where, you know, he's going to be posting regular content for you guys to read. And as soon as we have that all squared away and ready to go, I will let you guys know what that URL is so you can follow us there as well. Now, all of that being said, let's go ahead and get into our first topic of the day, which has had some mixed reactions from the fan community, and that is the Batman v Superman trailer that dropped this week. And before we get into it, I just want to say we're going to talk about a spoiler that was released during this trailer. So I mean, there actually isn't as many people have seen this trailer as I think people thought would have seen this trailer. But so if you haven't seen the trailer and you don't want a specific item spoiled for you, I would say skip ahead about 5 or 6 minutes.
But then you're never going to know because it's in the trailer.
Well, yeah, but some people don't want to watch the trailer because they don't want to know.
True.
So if you don't want to know the spoiler, just skip ahead 5 or 6 minutes. But from here on out, we are going to be talking about the BVS trailer. So I personally liked this trailer.
I did as well.
Yeah, I thought that it did a good job of what trailers are supposed to do for the general public. Now, I understand why a lot of DC fans are upset about it. I can see what they're saying about trailers that show the whole movie in a capsulated time. But the thing, the fact of the matter is, they're not making the trailers for the fans. They're making the trailers for people who wouldn't necessarily go and see that movie, and they're trying to get those people in on the movie.
And at the same time, watching the original trailer,
yeah,
you had no idea what the plot was of that movie.
I mean, yeah, I guess, but you know, a lot of, the thing that they were trying to sell it on before this trailer was the Batman versus Superman fighting each other. And you know, what's funny is they released a tiny like sneak peek clip a couple days before they released the actual trailer, and honestly, that to me was more exciting than this trailer. And I did like this trailer, but to me, that little clip of Batman being chained up and Superman flying down and, like, you know, coming towards him, like I had the assumption that it was a dream sequence that Batman was having. It just seemed like it was something that Batman would be afraid of not having any control after his like career of crime fighting, where he has had control of like I mean, I guess when you talk about the Joker, who actually has control, but I mean, this takes it to a whole new level.
He's helpless.
Yeah. And so I really liked that clip, but this trailer was completely different. It had a completely different tone to me. It had a completely different way of like showing what the movie is about.
Yeah, I mean, kind of. I liked it overall because, again, I actually finally got a sense of what the movie was actually about.
Yeah,
like larger picture, not just Batman pummeling Superman, or vice versa.
Yeah.
You know, so like kind of basically kind of understanding the environment, the world where this is happening in.
Yeah,
it really did a good job of explaining that. But at the same time, like, I've been holding out hope that Jesse Eisenberg would be able to do a good job with Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
I've fallen off that bandwagon. Like,
you don't like him?
No, I kept waiting for him to get better, and he's this crazy nutball. It's like,
he's Jesse Eisenberg.
Like, how is he? Like, I don't understand how he's in charge of the second biggest corporation in the DC world.
Well, because he inherited from his dad. Probably,
but yeah.
Here's a couple things I want to point out from this trailer before we move on, because I don't want to like talk about this big spoiler as people are like, oh, 5 or 6 minutes, okay. So the first thing is that we can talk about is Doomsday, and we can talk about it quickly. But they showed Doomsday in the trailer, And I understand why they did this, because there were so many people saying, wait, why are Batman and Superman fighting? Aren't they supposed to be friends? Now us fanboys, we understood it.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of people who aren't into the comics as much as we are, who were just like, wait, I thought that these guys were friends and that they created the Justice League. You know, that's basically all they know is Batman, Superman, Justice League. They're friends. So, like, they're seeing this and they're like, wait, what is this? Is this some kind of, like, ripoff of, like, what Marvel's doing? It's what the general public was thinking. I'm not saying that that's what they actually did. I'm just saying that's perception of it. So they had to throw something in there to show that Batman and Superman are not always going to be fighting. Now, I didn't necessarily like the look of Doomsday, but I've seen some theories of people saying, like, you know, he can evolve and like
also
his
too,
bone spikes will grow out.
We're still like 4 months out, so they're probably still not even done with the final CGI render.
So I wanted to point that out. What you said about Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor, I do agree that in that trailer it was really jarring, because you had this really deep and awesome conversation between Bruce Wayne and Clark Kent about Batman and Superman, and it was really awesome. And, you know, Bruce said, you know, I guess it's just the Gotham City of me. We had a history of freaks dressing up as clowns, as he's like staring. He knows Clark Kent is Superman. He knows. I don't know if it's mutual. I don't know if Clark Kent I don't think Clark Kent knows yet in that particular scene that Bruce Wayne is Batman, but Bruce Wayne knows that Clark Kent is Superman, because you could tell just the way he said it and the way that he was looking at him with the smirk on his face. He'd been waiting to say that to him for a long time.
Yeah.
And so it was a really awesome scene there. And then Lex Luthor pops in and he's like, "Oh, hey guys, how you doing?" Like, it was just like, dude, all right. I mean, I get what you're going for. Like, he's basically what Bruce Wayne is. He's putting on a facade for the public. And then I think behind closed doors, he's a little bit more
I just wish that would show up more in the trailer. Like,
I agree, but I think it's something that they're probably going to, you know, maybe they're doing it on purpose. Maybe they want you to be like, what, Lex Luthor? And then you go into the movie and you're like, oh, okay. Maybe he, like, unravels throughout the film. Well, but that is yet to be seen. And the last thing I want to mention about the BVS trailer is that we got to see Wonder Woman again, and this pose with her shield, and she comes up. I have to say, Gal Gadot, I don't know how she's going to act, but she looks like Wonder Woman.
Yeah, that's
the long, like, dark hair with, like, it's not curly, but it's not wavy, but it looks like Wonder Woman from the comics and the animated series Wonder Woman.
Yeah, and like I said, I know she has the action chops to pull that off.
Yeah.
Like I said, the one last thing I want to touch on is, I think they needed to show Doomsday in there to show that, like, because all the marketing up to this point has been Batman, Superman.
Yeah.
Choose a side.
Yeah.
But yet we have to get to that point where they come together.
Yeah.
So they had to show what villain.
People said the trailer was like this. The first half of the trailer was Batman v Superman. The second half of the trailer was Dawn of Justice.
Yeah.
All right. So talking more about Wonder Woman, we got some first set photos of Wonder Woman with Steve Trevor. What we assume to be Steve Trevor is Chris Pine. And I cannot pronounce the other dude's name, so I'm not even going to try. But it looks like it's going to be based in World War I, which there have been reports and rumors that was going to be the case.
At least what they're filming right now looks like World War I.
Yeah, and also we had a picture of Gal Gadot herself as Wonder Woman with, like, a hood. You saw her gauntlets. And honestly, the picture of Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman did not impress me nearly as much as actually seeing her in that trailer. She looks great in that trailer.
Wait again, the Gal Gadot one was a official publicity photo.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, the trailer, you saw her in action. Like, you saw,
and she looks a lot better in action.
Yeah.
Gosh, she looks so good. Yeah. I mean, what were your thoughts on? I mean, the one thing about Steve Trevor, if it is Steve Trevor in the World War I period, is okay. So is he only going to be her love interest for this one movie, and then, you know, they're going to explore the whole Superman and Wonder Woman or Batman and Wonder Woman like love interest that you get from, like, the animated series?
See, I feel like I think the standalone Wonder Woman movies are going to be, like, time period movies.
Yeah,
so,
which is going to be awesome. I mean,
so in the standalone version, like, you're gonna see, like, Wonder Woman 1 and 2, like, you know, he'll make it to World War II, and, like, he'll be there. Isn't that in the second one as well?
Yeah.
So, you know, but it's like, it's the Justice League movies where you may see her, you know, closer to Batman or Superman.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I don't know. When I grew up, I was watching Justice League, and they always kind of explored like the whole Wonder Woman and Batman thing. So I always thought that was an interesting concept. I don't know how it would work live action because she is like, a goddess and he is just a human being. So she could break him. But but yeah, so I don't know. That's interesting. But let's go ahead and move on to Marvel. There's actually a lot of stuff in Marvel that we can cover, probably because I've been so busy the past few weeks. But
this stuff all came out like the last week.
Black Panther may soon have its director, and they reportedly from the Hollywood Reporter, Ryan Coogler from Creed is in negotiations to helm Black Panther. So he's directed Creed, and he also directed Fruitvale Station, correct? Also with Michael B. Jordan.
Yes.
So I have not seen either of these movies, but what I've heard about both of these movies is that they're great. So the fact that and they both center around an African American protagonist. So I think that with those credentials, there's always the questions like, does a female director have to direct Wonder Woman or Captain America or Captain Marvel? Does a African American director have to direct Black Panther or Cyborg or there's always that type of question, and I don't think that is necessarily the case. But I think with Coogler having the experience with directing those types of movies, since it is an African nation of Wakanda with Black Panther, I think you have no doubt that he can capture the type of tone and storylines that need to be in that movie. I think he's perfect for that.
Yeah, and also too, good directors get good performances.
Exactly. Yeah,
and Michael B. Jordan is a rising star.
He's a good actor
because of those movies.
Yeah, he's a good actor.
So Ryan Coogler obviously knows something.
Yeah. And like I said, Michael B. Jordan is a good actor, except for in the Fantastic Four role.
But even then, people are saying
just had to get a jab in there.
He did the best that he could.
Yeah.
So
so now talking more about Marvel, Kevin Feige was actually doing some interviews, and he answered some questions about not only Baron Zemo but also Martin Freeman. And so what he said about Baron Zemo is, I will say that his character is very much a product of the cinematic universe and all that has occurred within that universe up to this point. Now, Baron Zemo, he is a part of Hydra. He has taken over. He has been the leader of Hydra in different accounts in the comics. So I wonder if, something that...
Now with Strucker being...
Yeah, with Strucker being gone. Right? But the only thing is you with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., you see what they're doing with Hydra. So I'm kind of like, okay, so how are they going to bring Hydra back into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, in the movies from the TV show, if the TV show is doing all this stuff with Hydra?
Yeah, we already know he's not going to have the purple costume like he does in the comics and the cartoons. So
God, I wish he would though. I mean, just go all out with it, man.
Well, maybe
it wouldn't work for this. For what we've seen of the trailer of Civil War, which we'll talk about in a second, it wouldn't fit the tone of that.
Yeah, exactly. So it makes sense.
Yeah.
Everything that he said, kind of the character that he is in the comics doesn't really fit in what's going on in the Marvel universe
Daniel
right now.
Daniel Bruhl as Baron Zemo, I am so excited to see. I love him as an actor.
But the kind of the things that Baron Zemo represents is still something that fits into this universe.
Yeah. Okay, and now moving on to Martin Freeman, Kevin Feige said he's under the cloak of secrecy. There are a lot of amazing actors in this movie. Some of them play larger roles than others, and in some cases, there are some you will meet ever so briefly in this film, and then will be expanded upon in future films. And Martin Freeman falls into that latter category. So, now Martin Freeman, I'm just praising all these actors, but Martin Freeman's a good actor, and you can say what you will about the Hobbit trilogy, but I really liked him in that role, and I kind of want Martin Freeman to be Norman Osborn, and that would kind of lend itself to having a very small role in this movie and then being expanded upon in later movies in the MCU, because Norman Osborn becomes the Green Goblin, and I think that'd be a good villain to not only be in Spider-Man movies, but Norman Osborn as a businessman. He could be like the MCU version of Lex Luthor, in my opinion. But what do you think about Martin Freeman in Civil War?
I mean, I know kind of when like they originally began filming and they announced Martin Freeman, like a lot of people pointed to him being some kind of, political figure.
Yeah.
Whether like, he's a congressman or a prime minister or even president, whatever, So I'm still leaning that camp because it just seems much more like I really feel like though, like Norman Osborn is somebody that Sony would have more input in than necessarily Marvel would. I mean, I'm sure like, Marvel would have to sign off on it, but I would think, you would hear more of a casting of like that via Sony than.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I just feel like as far as like who casts who, I feel like Sony would be very smart to listen to Marvel and let Marvel handle it, but Sony is still distributing the movie. So like they're still getting that money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like they would, if I was Sony and I was having trouble with the Spider-Man franchise, like they've been having, you can say what you will about the financial success of the Amazing Spider-Man and the Amazing Spider-Man 2, but as far as like critically acclaimed and reception from the fans, the Amazing Spider-Man 2 wasn't that well received. So I think Marvel has a firm grasp on the Spider-Man franchise now, and also I want to say that if he was just playing a generic politician, I don't think that they would expand upon that role in future movies. So I feel like whatever role he's playing, it's a big one. Now, it might not be Norman Osborn. It could be a different, character from the comics that I'm not necessarily familiar with. But that's my take on that. All right, so now we're going to get into another topic from Marvel. So IGN reported on a Phase 2 Blu-ray collector's edition.
They did an
box
unboxing.
Set. Did they do an unboxing? I really want this thing. It's too much money for me to afford. But so it has the Sokovia Accords in it, or at least a page out of it. And it reads, in accordance with the document at hand, I hereby certify that the below-mentioned participants, peoples, and individuals shall no longer operate freely or unregulated, but instead operate under the rules, ordinances, and governances of the aforementioned United Nations panel, acting only when and if the panel deems it appropriate and or necessary. And there's a spot for every Avenger's name on there, being the Hulk, Thor, Black Panther, or it doesn't include the Hulk, Thor, Black Panther, and Spider-Man, but it has Iron Man, Captain America, Black Widow, War Machine, Falcon, like all
Scarlet Witch,
yeah. So like all the
and Vision,
yeah. So what this does for me is it kind of gives a little bit more of insight into what that Civil War trailer was about. And so I'm going to use this to transition into that, and we can discuss the Civil War trailer that dropped a couple weeks ago. Personally, I thought it was underwhelming. I thought that it was... I wouldn't say it was trying to do too much, but I feel like it was really hard for me to be like, okay, so what is Civil War about? Is it that, some people think that Bucky should be arrested and put on trial, and some people don't? Is it about, superheroes being registered, which this seems to imply, this Sokovia Accords seems to imply. But for me, it was like, okay, so I couldn't tell what was the central theme of the movie. Is it Bucky, or is it the Superhero Registration Act, or a version of it in this movie?
I mean, after watching the trailer, I thought it was basically the story is Bucky's redemption.
Yeah,
is because all of this other stuff, it kind of seems moot until you understand that Captain America would do anything for Bucky.
Yeah,
so I mean, he feels betrayed by the government after Winter Soldier.
Yep.
I'm going to guess that the incident that kind of starts Civil War is made to look like it frames Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling Captain America knows it wasn't him.
Yeah, because the Winter Soldier is like Black Widow said, and Captain America, the Winter Soldier. The Winter Soldier is credited for over a dozen assassinations throughout history. So they talk about like JFK and some other big name ones that they, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, is all translated back to the Winter Soldier.
Yeah,
yeah.
So that's why I feel like Captain America would be willing to face the wrath of whatever this accord was, like the Registration Act, is to save Bucky.
Yeah, and I think there's like set pictures and stuff like that of Crossbones in this movie, And I think something with Crossbones happens in the first act that then is pinned on the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Because he has ties to Hydra, and since Hydra is, as far as they know, like not non-existent, so they're like, oh well, he was part of Hydra, let's blame him. I think that's going to be the type of thing that it is. But yeah, so for me, the trailer was a little underwhelming the first time I saw it, but the more that I watched it, I began to like it a little bit more. And there was that line between, Captain America and Iron Man where Cap says, "I'm sorry, Tony, but if I had any other choice, but he's my friend," and Iron Man says, "Well, so was I." And you can argue that they were never really friends, but you see a kind of bond with them connecting over.
Or at least there's a respect between them.
Yeah, well, yeah, there's some type of bond that grows between Avengers and Avengers Age of Ultron, between the two characters, to where even at the end of Age of Ultron they say, "I'm gonna miss you," type of thing, when Tony starts driving off into the sunset for like the third time. But but he just keeps coming back. No, but yeah, so there was a bond there, and so when that line was said, I actually did, I felt it, and I was just like, and to see the look on Robert Downey Jr.'s face as an actor when he's playing that line, it actually was like one of the first signs of like real pain that I see in Tony Stark's face. So that's why it hit me, because you could tell that Tony Stark was feeling like he was betrayed in that moment by Steve.
Well, it also, I don't think that's for that moment, but it was like, to me, I feel like that scene also happens after War Machine is killed.
If he is killed.
Well, yeah, yeah.
I mean, they did imply it in the trailer,
yeah.
But I'm not necessarily sure that.
But so kind of it feels like kind of he's Captain America's defending Bucky for, because I would almost guarantee that it's Bucky that rips out the arc reactor from War Machine's chest.
Yeah, but I don't think that leads to War Machine dying. I think if you're going to show that in a trailer, well, I don't think you're going to show a character who dies in the trailer dying. You know what I mean? But I could be wrong.
They need to kill somebody.
It could be like reverse psychology. You know what I mean? Like, oh, well, look, he's going to die, but not really. But he really does. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Was it somebody needs to? So.
Yeah, I agree. There has to be some type of stakes in this movie to one of the characters that we know from previous movies.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just going to be people that we don't.
We can also go back to the Registration Act real quick.
Yeah.
That it has all the spaces, but it does not include Thor, Hulk, Black Panther, or Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So Spider-Man, I understand, because probably he may not really be a known quantity at this point.
Yeah.
And then, but like,
well, I think because
I assume
the new Avengers team didn't have Hulk or Thor in there. They might be, and it's kind of hard.
And I imagine they probably said with Hulk disappearing, they probably said he was dead, or
in space.
Yeah, and then they probably told Thor like, "Hey, you better go back to Asgard."
Well, no, Thor already left. They can't control Thor, and they probably know that. Like, he's a god. We can't control him. And it might be the same thing with the Hulk. They're like, wait a minute, we can't control the Hulk. Like, how are we going to control the Hulk? Yeah. We can't. Yeah. And then Black Panther, I think the world doesn't know about him until this movie.
Yeah.
And then Spider-Man, I think it's the same thing. Like, the world doesn't know about him because he's such a, he's like street level. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I think Spider-Man just happens to come in contact with some of these characters.
There's some event that happens in New York.
Yeah, and they just happen to come he just it's like swinging by and like runs into Steve or Iron Man or something. I don't know. But before we get into this last bit of Marvel news that's on our notes, I just want to do a quick versus, right? And I think people know where I'm going with this. Which studio up to this point is doing a better job? DC or Marvel with Batman v Superman or Civil War? Just these movies specifically. Which studio is doing better? I want to throw it to you first.
Until I saw, I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna say Marvel with Civil War, just because kind of, again, like the Batman vs Superman, that new trailer did give away so much.
Yeah,
like it almost gave away too much.
Yeah,
and then plus also, everybody talk about how great DC is taking like a serious and kind of serious and dark tone.
Yeah,
and then they show Lex Luthor and the line the Batman issue with you. Yeah,
no,
that's something that is something Tony Stark would say.
Yeah.
Or, like,
No, yeah, and that's the thing. I think,
whereas I feel like Marvel has been much more consistent about their messaging.
yeah, I mean, I mentioned this in my trailer reaction to Batman v Superman about how I thought DC said there wasn't going to be any humor, and somebody was like, DC never said that. I'm like, they did. Somebody from Warner Bros. And DC said that, you know, they're taking their property very seriously. It's not going to be like, you know, humorous tone or any of that kind of stuff.
I mean, at the same time, they do have to feed some of it in, because otherwise, then Flash isn't going to work.
Yeah, I agree. No, I'm completely on board.
But I
with
think
that.
it's not smart humor in Batman vs Superman.
Here's who I think is winning. In this specific instance, I am so excited to see Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, all those, like the whole Justice League. I'm excited to see all of that. I am super excited for all that. But for this specific instance, I think Marvel is winning, and I think it kind of shows when you look at the trailer views. In the first 24 hours, Civil War had 64 million views on their trailer, and DC didn't even come close to that. And I think that kind of shows that people are so interested in Marvel that, you know, they're invested in the Civil War storyline. And that's the thing. So the MCU, you know, how many films have we had? We've had, you know, Phase 1 and Phase 2. It's over 10 films. I know that. I think
we're at 13 now.
Guardians was the 10th film. And then you had Age of Ultron, which was 11th. And then you had Ant-Man, which is the 12th. So
Civil War is the 13th.
13th movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, right? So you've had 12 other movies to build up relationships between the fans and these characters. So I think they're much more invested in this civil war of Captain America and Iron Man and the characters surrounding them, more so than the emotional connection to the characters of Superman, this Superman, this Batman with Ben Affleck, and Wonder Woman played by Gal Gadot. I think since we haven't had other movies to build up an emotional core with those characters, people aren't as emotionally invested in that as they are the characters in Civil War.
And I've got two other quick points. That another thing, you know, even to a casual person, casual like comic book fan,
yeah,
they know what the Civil War storyline is.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, I know, like, Batman vs Superman, they're basing off of a story arc, but they're not. But at the same time, again,
it's not based off of it, but they're taking themes of it.
But again, they're not. Again, it's not named after a specific storyline.
Yeah.
So, like, one, you don't necessarily, like, you know, you don't have that kind of instant recognition of what the story is.
Yeah.
And then two is that I feel like Marvel is doing much better job of actually kind of pre-announcing their trailer, making it an event when they release a trailer, whereas it kind of felt like Batman vs Superman was just, here's a trailer.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, perfect point. So when the Civil War trailer was going to be debuted on Jimmy Kimmel, Robert Downey Jr., I almost call him Tony Stark 'cause he's just so synonymous. Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans were on Jimmy Kimmel. They had a fun interview, and then after their interview, then they released the trailer, right?
Yeah.
Whereas for Batman v Superman, Ben Affleck just showed up on, like, Jimmy Kimmel. There was no interview. It was just, hey, yeah, I'm Batman. Here's a trailer. Like, literally, that's what it was.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of like, what? And, like, so, yeah, like, you're right. Marvel does make an event of when they do these types of things. DC still hasn't been able to do that, and I think they would really benefit from having somebody that plays a Kevin Feige-esque role for the studio. It might not have to be the same different thing. Like, maybe they're not the person who is overseeing all these movies, but at least a figurehead or somebody who, you know, can be the face of their universe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, somebody who can be, like, you know, hosts these events and talk about it and all this other stuff. I don't know. Yeah, I think you're right on that point. So I think at this point we're both saying that Marvel is kind of edging out DC for a certain number of reasons.
But I will say I am much more excited about Batman vs Superman than I was.
Yeah, and don't call us Marvel fanboys because look. Do you see these posters back here? I got Batman and Superman from the IMAX trailer event that I went to, even though the trailer was already leaked and they released it in HD.
And you're wearing a Superman shirt.
Yeah, look at that. See, I'm not a Marvel fanboy. I love all of it, and I really hope that Batman v Superman is awesome, and I hope that therefore Justice League is awesome because I didn't grow up on Marvel. I grew up more on DC. Because I didn't read comic books as a child. I was never introduced to that world. But I did watch the Justice League animated TV shows and Batman the animated series and all that stuff. Batman Beyond was one of my favorite cartoons as a kid. So I have that history, and I love the Justice League characters. I want Green Arrow in the cinematic universe. Put him in. It doesn't have to be Stephen Amell, but put Green Arrow in there. Anyways. Let's get to this last bit of Marvel news real quick, and it's not really news. It's more of after,
what could have been.
Yeah. So Marvel apparently passed on a Doctor Strange pitch that was given to them by Neil Gaiman and Guillermo del Toro, and so basically they said that Marvel wasn't even interested in this concept. But here's the catch: is that this concept for Doctor Strange was introduced to them before Iron Man was even made, and so, and they didn't give us any details about what their pitch was. But I mean, this is just an interesting thing because they wanted to do this movie, but Marvel didn't let them, and I don't know. It's interesting because if it was after the Iron Man movie, who knows what would have happened, right?
But at the same time, the fact that it happened before the Iron Man movie. That was when Marvel was strapped for cash.
Yeah.
And if you know the history of Neil Gaiman and Guillermo del Toro and the type of, artworks that they do, they're very kind of dark, mystical, the occult.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Marvel had the willingness to take a chance on something like that, which could have actually sank Marvel altogether.
True, but here's also another thing. Was Kevin Feige I don't even know if this was this okay. So this was before Iron Man was a movie, right?
Yeah.
So it's quite
before
possible.
Marvel Studios.
Yeah, it was before the Marvel Studios era, which therefore is before Kevin Feige, and Kevin Feige is a known avid fan of Doctor Strange. So it's interesting to see if they would have came up with this pitch when Kevin Feige started the Marvel Studios, if Kevin Feige would have been on board. But yeah, so that's always interesting. Guillermo del Toro, he did Hellboy, which I like those movies.
Don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to say he is a great director.
Yeah.
He's great at what he does.
Yeah.
But I just don't think Marvel had the stomach to take a risk on something like that.
I think Doctor Strange is a huge risk, especially before Iron Man even came out, before the Incredible Hulk, I think if it would have happened after the success of Thor, they might have been a little bit more on board. But because, they were still trying to get, I guess, Iron Man up and running, which was a more realistic, idea.
Yeah, that's why they picked Iron Man to start off as MCU.
Yeah, it's a more realistic thing. Yeah. It's not magical. It's not, in the cosmic realm. It's on Earth with technology, that kind of thing, which I think people can relate to a little bit more easier. All right, now moving on, we have some Star Wars news. The Star Wars movie gets an official rating of PG-13 for sci-fi action violence. And the original trilogy was made before PG-13 existed, so those were rated PG.
Yeah.
So the only Star Wars movie that was rated PG-13 is
Episode 3.
Revenge of the Sith. So, and that was a kind of a dark movie. You saw Anakin burn alive. So,
and also slaughter children and
younglings, not the younglings. I've been watching the original trilogy. Okay, so the guys over at Collider Video, you got Christian Harloff, Mark Ellis, John Campea, and John Schnepp. They've been doing these commentary videos on the each Star Wars movie leading up to The Force Awakens, and so they just finished up the prequel trilogy. So I've been watching along with them. It's hilarious to watch it with those guys. But I look the prequels. That's all I can say about that. Anyway, what were you saying?
As I said, this news isn't really surprising at all. I'm pretty sure it's what everybody expected.
If it was PG, I'd be very concerned.
Yeah.
I'd be very concerned if it was PG. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah.
So, and that again, but it's one of those kind of things like, hey, it's here. We know, it's finally official.
Yeah.
Like,
no Jar Jar Binks, hopefully, with PG-13.
Unless it's his funeral.
God, I don't even want to see his funeral. He doesn't even deserve that. All right, so this is an interesting story about when J.J. Abrams was first approached about doing the Star Wars movie. Is he originally said no, and so let's I'll read this off for you guys. So originally he said, I said no. I didn't want to do a sequel movie. I had done a Mission Impossible movie. I had done a Star Trek, and I'm sick with doing movies with numbers. And then he said, while talking with Kathleen Kennedy about these characters, the idea of Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, and Princess Leia, this is 40 years ago. So for someone who's 19 years old, they're myths, they're legends. So who knows what they know about them? People wouldn't even know maybe who some of these characters are. And the thing that got me, the thing that grabbed me, was the feeling of a new young female character who didn't know anything about them, but in the conversation, that question of this young woman asking, who is Luke Skywalker? I don't know why, but it made me feel like, fuck, that's so cool that there was this discovery. These would be essentially kids who didn't see Star Wars themselves, who would be in this universe, the idea of sort of rediscovering this world. And he relates this to, current kids who are 19 or 18 who maybe haven't seen Star Wars, or their Star Wars experience is the prequels, maybe haven't seen the original trilogy. So like like Han Solo and Leia and Luke, they're all legends to us, but they're also legends to these characters that are in the movie, and that's really cool. And I think that the one thing that you have to say here is, like, Kathleen Kennedy asked him one question: don't you want to find out where Luke's been all this time? And like J.J. Abrams, as a Star Wars fan, is like, God damn it, I think I want to know where Luke's been. Like, so that's an awesome thing for me to hear, because like I said, J.J. Abrams is a huge Star Wars fan, just like the rest of us. And to see a Star Wars fan being the director of a Star Wars movie, I mean, there could be things that go wrong with a fan directing a movie, but what he's been saying about, making sure that he keeps himself grounded in this, I'm so excited for this movie. What are your thoughts on what he said?
It's also like the way like he described, like, that's how you would make a sequel to a movie that happened 40 years ago.
Yeah.
Like,
you treat it as this myth or as this legend. Yeah.
It's a rediscovery. Like,
yeah.
Plus, that's the other thing that kind of makes me, like, the way he worded that is that, like, about, like, a young woman asking who is Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
He said, like, that scene isn't officially, like, on camera.
Yeah.
But to me, then that makes it feel like that Rey is not a Skywalker. Like, she's not a descendant.
She's not of Luke, maybe. Who knows?
But still, like, I don't see Leia and Han abandoning their child, or I don't see Luke abandoning a child.
We have to wait and see, Greg. This is what this is all about, J.J. Abrams is really good with his box of secrets.
Is he, though?
Yeah, well, I mean, okay, so Khan wasn't handled well, but he tries. He tries to handle it. But, yeah, I've been watching a lot of interviews with J.J. Abrams and some of the cast of The Force Awakens, and whenever I watch an interview with J.J. Abrams, I'm standing there looking at this guy, and I'm like, all right, so he has, like, this curly hair, he has the glasses, I'm just like, if this movie is good, you know what I mean? If it's as good as what people are hoping it will be, or even half as good as, like, the expectation is for it, he's gonna be a legend. Yeah. Like, he's gonna be the guy who saved Star Wars. Because the prequels were not good. No. I'm sorry. I enjoyed them as a kid when I didn't know any better, when I thought poop and fart jokes were fun with Jar Jar Binks. But that was like when I was, 9. So, yeah. So, and it also alludes to this in the trailer where Han Solo says, it's all true. The Jedi, the dark side. He's, you know what I mean? Yeah. And like Han was the biggest skeptic in the original trilogy.
Yeah.
So
for him to actually come out and say that.
Yeah, the voodoo, religions or whatever. And now he's saying, yeah, it's all true. I've seen some shit over the years. And you know what I mean? So I'm so excited for this movie. And they did a really good job of, like, not showing us too much stuff until, like, recently they're showing a whole bunch of TV spots.
Yeah, it seems like every week we get a new TV commercial.
I have not watched any of them. So for me, the last thing that I saw was the international trailer. And that's it. After the international trailer, I said, I'm done. I'm not doing this because, Age of Ultron, what they did with Batman v Superman. Like, I'm done with that, like, capsulated movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna be going into this like fresh. Like I'm not gonna like I'm gonna be like, all right. So I know some of the characters. I know the OGs are in it. You know, I know C3PO has a red arm for whatever reason, and I'm gonna find that out. I guess maybe not. I don't know. Maybe I'll just be there. But yeah, I'm so excited for this movie. Are you? Yeah. When are you going to see it?
I'm probably gonna get one of the late showings on Thursday.
Yeah, I'm going to see it Thursday night at 7:30 p.m.
So I'm gonna get like the
seating.
like the 10 o'clock one. So.
Oh my god, I'm so excited.
I took Friday off.
The crowds for that, or I have to work Friday morning, but I don't give a shit. Like the crowds for the movie are going to be insane.
It's already made over $50 million.
It's going to be so fun. And there's been like rumors that people are saying it could make between $2 and $3 billion. Like the most modest estimate that people are saying is like $2 billion, and like the most generous is like $3 billion. I'm just like, $3 billion for a movie?
One movie, like,
dude,
yeah.
I'm not gonna put it like, okay, I don't think it's gonna make $3 billion, but if it does, like, you want to talk about the most successful financial box office movie ever, right?
Yeah.
And then
even if your budget was like $200 million, that's still.
And it comes down to, I think it's gonna, if it does make that movie that much money, it's gonna be because it's a good movie or even a great movie. So you want to talk about the most successful movie of all time? Could be the most nerdiest movie of all time. Star Wars The Force Awakens. Nerd status. All right, so moving on. We got George Lucas apparently asked 3 directors to helm the prequel trilogy, and they all said no. They all said, George, you should do it. And then look what we got, guys. Thank you. All right, so Steven Spielberg, Ron Howard, and Robert Zemeckis, I guess, were approached to direct these movies, and they all said no. And God, yep. Steven Spielberg, why didn't you do a Star Wars movie? Come on, man.
Yeah, so
well, maybe George Lucas approached them with like what he wanted the prequels to be, and they're like, no, I don't want to make that movie. Maybe just like, I had this character, his name's Jar Jar, like I want him to make poop jokes, and they're all just like, no, you can do it, dude. I don't know.
And honestly, to be honest though, like of that list of 3, the only one I really would have been excited for is Steven Spielberg. Like, outside of Back to the Future, I couldn't name another Robert Zemeckis movie I liked.
Yeah.
And then Ron Howard is not known as an action director.
Yeah.
Like, he's very much a dramatic director.
Well,
so, like,
that would have helped, though.
It would have helped, yeah,
God,
because George Lucas doesn't know how to...
That whole terrible romance, like...
when you get a director that doesn't like to direct people in a very emotional scene with actors who've never done that,
yeah,
it can only go well, right?
The Revenge of the Sith though was a lot better from Attack of the Clones.
Yeah,
like
Attack of the Clones is the worst one.
Hayden Christensen was like his improvement from Attack of the Clones to Revenge of the Sith was substantial. It was substantially better. I'm not saying that it was good, but it was just substantially better than Attack of the Clones.
Going from like a 1 to like a 5 is substantial.
Exactly. Yeah, so that's unfortunate. Let's go into some quick hits, though. So Steven Spielberg says that he will not recast Indiana Jones. Therefore, the only person to play Indy will be Harrison Ford. Now,
if Steven Spielberg is the one making it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. So do you think that there's ever going to be another Indiana Jones played by a younger actor?
Yes. But Steven Spielberg will
not while he's alive.
But Steven Spielberg will not have anything to do with that Indiana Jones movie.
Yeah, and it's kind of like, when the guys from Return or Back to the Future said, like, there's never going to be a reboot as long as we're alive. Kind of like the same thing with, like, Indiana Jones. Like,
yeah, again, I don't know what Steven Spielberg's, like, rights to Indiana Jones are.
Yeah.
But as I said, there will be another Indiana Jones.
Yeah, eventually, yeah. I would actually be really interested. I mean, this would kind of be a Lara Croft type of thing, but I wouldn't mind seeing, like, if Indy had a daughter. I don't think, like, in the movies he doesn't. At least as far as I know, he has a son but not a daughter. But I think it'd be interesting to see it be passed down. I think if you're not,
I think that's what they were originally intended for Kingdom of Crystal Skull, but there's.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about that. But yeah, I mean, I think it'd be interesting to see the passing of the torch to another, like, another generation, even if it's not Indiana himself.
Yeah.
But a lot of people do want it to be Indiana Jones in, like, Nazi, like, Germany times, Next is Christopher McQuarrie will be back for Mission Impossible 6. I have yet to see Rogue Nation. Unfortunately, I want it to be on DVD and Blu-ray so I can buy it and watch it. But I was not able to go. I did not have time to go and see it in theaters. So, but from what I've heard, he did a great job with Rogue Nation. So if he's returning for Mission Impossible 6, that can only be good news, right?
Yeah, Rogue Nation is a great movie, by the way.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. I've heard it's better than Kingsman. I've heard it's better than Spectre, which I also have not seen. I've been so busy with school. I haven't seen. I saw Ant-Man. That was the last movie I saw. Pretty sure. Yeah. Yep. Star Wars next though. So excited. Everything comes back to Star Wars, Greg.
Yeah, but Chris McQuarrie come back. He's teamed up with Tom Cruise for like 3 other movies. Like,
yeah,
they
worked together. Yeah,
they found a rhythm together, and it's only going to make the movie better.
Yeah, I mean, I can.
And he's gonna write. He's also writing it as well as directing and producing it.
I can only go off of what you said because like I said, I haven't seen it. So I mean, but I can't wait for it to come out on Blu-ray so I can buy it and enjoy it on my nice big television with surround sound. Yeah. All right. So moving on to our last quick hit of the day is you take this because I've never even heard of this. This is like this is before my time.
Yeah, it really was.
Old man. No.
Yeah. But Coca-Cola, put a type on the show notes, but Coca-Cola re-registered the trademark for Ecto Cooler, which, for those of you who don't know,
ectoplasm,
was a citrusy juice drink made in the late 80s to coincide with the Ghostbusters movies.
Yeah, 87.
And they had Slimer as a little mascot for it. And that's
kind of cool.
That stuff was delicious. I chugged that stuff as a kid. So when I saw that,
this is a more personal topic for Greg here. Yeah,
this is a pet topic for me. Like, so Grant, it's unclear whether or not it's just a general like re-trademarking like most companies do. I think, or if there is some kind of cross promotion that they will do with the new movie.
Oh yeah, it's going to be with the new movie. I'm guaranteeing. I'm willing to put. I have no idea. Like, I don't have any history with this, but guaranteed, if they use it in previous Ghostbusters movie, they're definitely going to try to hit on that nostalgia with people like Greg with this, and it's going to work. So therefore, I am putting all my money down on the fact that they're going to use this in the new movie. I can guarantee that. But yeah, so that is it for this episode of Movieverse Movie News. It's a pretty fun episode. We haven't had an episode in a while. There's a lot of stuff to talk about. I mean, gosh, if we are lucky to be doing this time next year, like, how much stuff are we going to be talking about? We're going to be talking about movies that have come out already. We're talking about movies that are going to be coming out soon. There's so many movies. Not only just Star Wars, but you have all the DC movies, all the Marvel movies.
Well, like 8 comic book movies.
Yeah, 8 comic book movies.
Another Star Wars movie.
Star Wars, yeah.
Another Mission Impossible movie.
Mission Impossible, yeah. So, guys, yeah.
I might as well just quit school now.
I love doing this. No, I'm almost done. I ain't quitting school. About have my degree, guys. Oh, well, I mean, in a year. This time next year, guys, I will be a bachelor's degree. So if any marketing companies are looking for a worker, I'm right here. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching this.
Subtle.
Just slide it in there. No, but thank you guys for watching this episode of Movieverse Movie News. Like I said at the beginning of the show, you can follow us on all of our social medias at facebook.com/movieverseonline, on Twitter at Movieverse2, on Instagram at Movieverseonline. As soon as we have that website with topics to read, I will let you guys know what that URL is, and I will announce who that person is as soon as we get stuff up and running. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure you like it, subscribe, comment down below what you thought about, who do you guys think you're winning right now between DC and Marvel with their
fans.
The fans are winning, but it's always an interesting conversation to have as far as and we're both marketing guys. So in the marketing aspect, who's winning right now? But yeah, so let us know who you guys think is winning with this promoting of their movies, DC or Marvel. Let us know how excited you guys are for Star Wars, because I know you are. And until next time, guys, catch you later.